You want to tell?
We're finally on our last pregnancy.
We're at the finish line.
Alpine skiing icon Bode Miller and former pro beach volleyball player Morgan Beck Miller have been married for nearly 9 years. So far, they've had 5 children together. Plus, Bode brought a son and a daughter from 2 previous relationships. And today, the happy couple is extremely excited to announce a brand new addition to their family will be arriving this November.
This is the longest I've personally gone not being pregnant. So the twins and this baby will be 24 months apart. So between the 2 of us, we have Dace, who's 13, Nate, who's 8, Nash, who's 5, Emmy would have been 4, Easton is 2, and the twins are 17 months.
Oh, look at that bird!
I feel like we're finally at a point, like we constantly knew that we had more space in our hearts to give more love, and kids require a lot of attention and a lot of love, and we have a lot of attention and a lot of love to give. But we feel like that this will be the last one for us to be able to put all of ourselves into, so that way all of them still get a bunch of love and a bunch of attention, and we're not stretching ourselves too thin. My kids always ask, like, how are you having another baby? Like, how do you love this one more than me? And what I always tell them is that with each baby, it's not that we have to spread the love out between them. It's not like they get less love. It's this amazing process where your heart just gets bigger and you find more love to give, which is a really cool thing to experience.
I always reflect on what old people say. You never hear old people talk about wishing they had less kids. They always sort of wish they had one more or had more kids. So I think we're fortunate in that we have the time, we have the environment and the desire and the love for our kids, so why not?
In June 2018, Bode and Morgan experienced every parent's worst nightmare, the loss of a child, when their 1-year-old daughter, Emmeline, drowned in a neighbor's swimming pool. While it's been nearly 3 years, there's no question Emmy will always remain a major part of their family.
Maybe just culturally in our household and our families, we just don't believe in kind of suppressing anything, so we always talk about it. And she comes up in regular conversation, and she still has a bunch of her stuff around and her pictures. So I think in that sense, we try to proactively, make the kids aware, because the younger ones never met her, and Nash was pretty small, although he definitely remembers her. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a strange process of going through that, and there's still so much that's really kind of still seems like yesterday, and then there's parts that start to really feel like a long time ago. I think we talk about what she kind of left us with and how we learned from her. She was incredibly stubborn and was an awesome kid to be around, but definitely taught, at least me, a lot about patience and things like that, because she was like the most stubborn, and we had a really great, unique relationship. Father-daughter, I think, is a really special one. So, I mean, the fact is she just kind of still feels very much like a part of the family.
Well, and I think also not talking about her and not sharing her stories is denying our kids and us a relationship with her. Like, we still have one. She's still very much a part of our family. She's still very much around us. Like, she sends signs all the time. And we would be doing a great disservice to our family to not actually still have her being an active part of the family, because she very much is. And the lessons that we learned, the memories that we share, and the love that never goes away. And so, I mean, she still gets Easter baskets, and her pictures are everywhere, and her room is still here. Her closet is still full. Occasionally, she still gets a few new pieces in there. She was and still is miraculous, spectacular. I would say her birthday is our hardest kind of anniversary, because that day is supposed to be all about her, and that's a day that we still celebrate, and we still sing her happy birthday.
Yeah, but I think it changes each year too. I mean, we're only 3 years out, which might seem like a long time to some people, but for parents, it's really a process that, in some cases takes the rest of your life. The first year, was incredibly hard. But I think that whole year was hard. And then this last year was still really hard, but I felt a little bit more like we were celebrating her, and a little bit more like, if she was here on her birthday or something like that, where it was just kind of like really consciously revisiting everything, and it wasn't quite as raw, as painful in some senses. And then hopefully it keeps going, because ultimately for me, at the end of the day, you want to be celebrating what somebody had, what they were, and how you enjoyed it, versus just being sad. There's an element of sadness in all of that. So
really interesting lesson that you learned, especially after losing a child, is that you have this overwhelming sadness and grief. And at first you start feeling these moments of joy that come back in. It feels so confusing and so wrong that you can have both of these emotions at the same time. And you find as a parent this way to still allow yourself to feel the joy and feel the excitement, and still at the same time, you still have the sadness and the grief, and it can coexist in a way that didn't make sense before losing a child, where it didn't seem possible. And now there's beauty in everything, and there's sadness in everything, but it doesn't take the joy away from all those moments anymore.
You see a bird? Where's a bird?
We talk about screen time and organic food and types of learning and how you parent your kids, but what we should be talking about, all those things are important, but what's the number one thing that can kill your kid? It's drowning.
Roughly 830 children under the age of 14 die every year from drowning, which is a number Bode and Morgan are hoping to drastically reduce by actively promoting water safety awareness.
Drowning is still the number one cause of death for children under the age of 5. And this is something that's completely preventable. And it's simply about spreading knowledge. It's about arming your children with the tools to be able to navigate that situation, because it is the deadliest place that they can be. It is not a natural place for us to be in water. And we are surrounded by it everywhere, with buckets and toilets and pools and lakes. Like, it's literally everywhere. And there still needs to be that passion and enthusiasm behind that conversation to spread awareness, because we can prevent this.
drowning is the single leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 4.
We believe it should be the number one thing parents think about when it comes to safety.
As parents who lost a kid to this, I think we're kind of hoping that we can help to inspire a group or people who can be that hub, where it's kind of a constant thing that it requires time. Everything from developing equipment to, changing policy to writing legislation. That's what happened with car seats, and it prevented an enormous number of deaths. And I think we're sort of turning the knob there in terms of keeping that intensity pretty high throughout, so that you can kind of wait it out and have change happen, because it just doesn't happen right away.
That's the coolest part about this, is that we have the opportunity to inspire other people to help change the world. You have hundreds of preventable deaths every year of innocent kids, and that doesn't need to happen. And so that is inspiring. It's also really sad, because we were parents that lost a child to something that should have never killed her.
And I think we sort of start with the things we wish we knew.
Oh, hi.
If you start with the things that we wish we knew before, that we found out really kind of quickly with low energy, low research afterwards, that's kind of what we think that everybody should start with. And then it gets much more specific, and there's much more tailored approaches to how you prepare your kids and how you protect your pools or you educate your kids.
The most important thing a parent can do is get your child equipped to deal with water. Swimming lessons. We start our kids at 6 months old, learn how to float. If they can crawl, they need to know how to float. If they can walk, they need to know how to swim. And there are so many different foundations out there who grant scholarships to make that possible for anybody. So that would be number one. Number two is also layers of protection. So fences, alarms, locks. Make sure the locks are up high enough that the child can't reach them. And then third, obviously accidents happen. And our children are these brilliant little kids who are really curious, and they all find their way into trouble at some point. And honestly, just hope that they found those 30 seconds to find crayons to color on a wall and not water. And if you're ever missing a child, the first place you always look is water, because every second counts. And so those are the three things I think are the most important that people really wrap their heads around, so they know how to handle those situations. That's the biggest thing for us. Know the information and what the real dangers are. Arm yourself with that information and take the appropriate steps.